Hi everyone, this is Ishwarya. I am a co-founder of Grailmaker Innovations, and I'm here today with another interesting talk show on our Insights talk show segment. And we have Akashdeep Bansal as our guest today, and he is the CEO and founder of SaralX. What SaralX and what he does in the field of digital accessibility, that is what we are going to discuss. So Akash, welcome you to our show.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
It's a pleasure to have you. Digital, actually, in general, accessibility is a topic that's very close to my heart.
Yeah,
So I'm very excited to know about you, your journey, and how promote digital accessibility through your work. So before we get there, just wanted to know about your visual impairment, Akash. Like, when did you acquire
mhm,
it, and what's your current visual status? So if you can throw some
mhm.
light on that.
Sure. So, like I am suffering from retinitis pigmentosa. It was diagnosed when I was just 10-year old. But it's like at the time it was like very nominal. I was just having some problem in seeing in the night. It was not major enough. Like even when I was just 10-year old, I used to ride cycle. I used to go to normal colleges, everything. There was no problem. Uh, as you know, like in retinitis pigmentosa, eyesight get decreases gradually. So my education till even masters was regular, no problem. But during my masters, the eyesight started to reaching at that level that when I started to use some of the low vision features like the dark mode features. And during the PhD, when I pursued my PhD, there was a stage when switched to screen reader. So now I'm completely dependent on screen reader. When I like for the last I think 4 years, when I'm completely dependent on the screen reader now. In the non-environment, if I say like what I can see right now, I can see a little bit in the non like even in the non-environment, I can walk without even cane or anything like that. But if
Mhm.
I'm going outside, I prefer like having either a cane or maybe someone assisting.
Okay, I get it. So, what are the challenges in general, Akash? Like, see, being congenitally blind is one thing because you are used to like bachpan se, acha, this is
Right.
how you perceive the world and things like that. But
Hmm.
acquiring blindness at a later stage in life, the
Hmm.
challenges are different, right? So, what has
Right.
been your
Correct.
challenges in regards to everything, like infrastructure, digital
Mhm.
world? So, what has been your take on that?
Okay, so one of the major thing which I think is so there are pros and cons. I wouldn't say that all the there are most of the disadvantages, but there are some advantages. Like because my most of the education has been through mainstream, so there was no major challenge in the education. Okay, but there was one thing which I need to struggle that even if I try to adapt to one or the another tool, it takes some time. Like when I started adapting myself to the dark mode, it took me some time to get to it, and then like by the time I got habitual to it, the things was working fine. Uh, the eyesight get more deteriorated, and now I need to now learn and start learning the screen reader. Okay,
Hmm.
so what was happening is on daily basis or like every time, not daily basis because my deterioration rate was not very high, but because when you're losing eyesight gradually, your assistive modes or assistive tools what you need to use, those you need to change every time.
Hmm.
Okay, it's not like you have adapted to one thing and then you can just get the perfection in the same thing and then keep on using it. It was not like that. Now, the other feature is like my very often what happens is when someone meet me in person or even those who are watching me, like
Hmm.
those who can see, they will not be able to realize that I can't see anything. Okay,
Hmm.
because my eye contact is proper. Even by seeing me, they can't realize anything. So those kind of there's certain advantages like that. But yeah, the only thing which the challenge come is like you need to adapt every year or maybe every 2 year with the new things.
Hmm. Hmm. I totally, relate to that, Akash.
Mhm.
How did SaralX happen?
Mhm.
There are very like I, I've been visually impaired since 17 years now. And
Mhm.
I've seen that, when it comes to digital accessibility, I mean, I got introduced to digital accessibility, the importance of these spaces being accessible from my friends who are in abroad. The
Mhm.
concept of having it here, I have not seen many people actually take it up and start working on it. So, how did that idea come to you? And when did SaralX happen and why it happened?
I think this may be another advantage I have due to
Mm,
the later blindness. Because what used to happen is I born and brought up in an era when digital was evolving. Okay,
mm,
like in 2010, smartphone started to game. I was
mm.
able to see most from the on the digital screen till 2021. Okay, so it was
Okay.
almost around 11 years of my life when I was able to operate the mobiles and the computers by seeing. Okay, and in that case, what was happening is, like I was the go-to person in my family. If there is anything which has to happen in online world, I was the go-to person in my family.
Mm.
If my father has to do anything online, he used to call me. If my mother has to do anything online, I'm the go-to person. Okay, so when in 2021, when my eyesight reached to that levels, and now I need to rely on the screen reader, I felt like my freedom has gone now. Because now what
Mm,
I used to do for the entire family, now I need to take their help to do the even those
mm,
basic things. Okay. So
mm,
the things has completely changed. Then I thought, okay, no, this is something which I definitely need to solve. And there was one more moment which happened around 4 5 years before this, when I was pursuing my master's at IIT Delhi. So what happens is my supervisor asked me, like, what do you want to be in the future? I said, till the time I want to be in the teaching domain. So I said, I want to be the professor. So he said, okay, then you must be wanting to PhD after the master's so that you can become a proper professor. I said, yes. Then he said,
mm,
okay, I can take you as a PhD student. There's no problem. But tell me one thing. How will you continue your education as you're losing your eyesight gradually? How will you continue your education if your
mm,
eyesight reached to that level that you can't read the printed documents anymore? Okay. And it was more crucial because my master's thesis was in electromagnetics domain.
mm,
If you're familiar with that, in electromagnetics, we used to deal with very complex equations. Okay.
mm.
And even the kind of equations I was dealing with, they used to take 2 to 3 lines when you're even printing on a A4 sheet. Okay.
Oh.
So that was the kind of complexity I was dealing. And the professor asked me, like, how will you manage with such kind of a
Mm,
complex equation if you can't see? Okay. So that was a trigger point which like triggered me to think about all of these things. And then like it came after a few days, I came back to him and I asked him, like, can I do my PhD in this domain itself? Like, can I work on how a blind person can pursue the electrical engineering?
mm.
Okay. That's how the complete direction got changed, and I started working in the digital accessibility domain. And when this happened in 2021, I thought, okay, no, not just the equation, I need to solve the entire digital accessibility problem.
Mm. That is an insightful journey, Akash. Has there been any experience like,
Mhm,
see, I mean, I'm asking in the sense like, I remember when Swiggy came, we started using Swiggy, using the screen readers. And
mhm,
initially, like, I was quite excited, ki, Acha, I can use Swiggy now. And this is much before COVID and all, when
mhm.
people were just coming on to using such apps. एंड मेरे को
Right.
बहुत भूख लग रहा था ओके लाइक आई वाज
Mhm,
लाइक monstrously hungry and
mhm,
I went to Swiggy and that was the first time I was ordering and that excitement also was there फिर बाद
mhm,
में when I went to do the final order पहले तो वो the remove and add button were reading as unlabeled
mhm,
buttons
mhm,
फिर उसके बाद लाइक आई काइंड ऑफ फिगर्ड आउट कि अच्छा ये हो सकता है बिकॉज आई जस्ट टैप्ड ऑन इट एंड अनटैप्ड ऑन इट and then I realized
mhm,
these are remove and add buttons. So that was one inaccessibility thing that happened. फिर I
mhm,
think the final जो payment का thing है where you tap for payment that didn't work
mhm,
at all. And nobody around, and I'm like super hungry.
mm,
And then I
mm,
realize, array, inaccessibility can keep you hungry. So
mm,
was there any experience like that happened with you with general
mm.
apps, like not
It
just.
happens on
Yeah.
daily basis. It's not just one
Okay.
incident. Okay, like when I try to use a different apps, like there most of the apps even today they're inaccessible. Okay,
Hmm.
like even if you like now, sometimes what happens is you get habitual to it. Okay, like I will not take the name of that particular app, but because I know where this button is, where exactly I need to click, so I'm habitual.
Hmm.
Even though if the button is not speaking out properly, if it is not even the label is not correct, I know okay, this is where exactly I need to touch, and this button is what I need to press. Okay, so those kind of things so you work around, you figure out. But there are many, like when you try to use the payments, any of the payments app, even the cab booking apps, food
Hmm.
ordering, e-commerce, you take any example. Okay, even there are certain apps which was earlier accessible. Now they've
Hmm.
also started facing the problem.
Correct.
Okay, so it is a daily thing. Like it's not a one-time moment, to
Hmm.
be honest.
Hmm. I totally, get that, because there's so many apps that, when people, hey, this app has come in, but jab aap use karte ho, then you realize, not for you, because it's not accessible.
Right.
Yeah. So what does SaralX do, Akash? Like, because, it's a startup, by somebody who has, gone through the challenges themselves, and
Mhm.
then you have come up with a solution that here is what it is. So if you can
Mhm.
tell our listeners about what SaralX does.
Sure. So SaralX is a all-rounder solution around digital accessibility. Okay, so we are primarily a B2B company. Right now, we are just focusing on B2B, like where we are trying to help other corporates, other organizations, how we can help them in making their digital footprint accessible. Like whether
Mm,
it's a website, whether it's a mobile application, whether it's a document, multimedia content, even whatever you're posting, even the social media post, you can make sure that whatever digital asset you're creating is accessible. Okay. It may be helping them in identifying what where the problems are through conducting the accessibility audit. It may be guiding their developers or training their developers so that they know okay what exactly need to be done so that they can fix those bugs and make sure that whenever they are developing anything in the future is developing with accessibility, what kind of adaptation they need to do so that
mm,
later on it doesn't happen that today it is accessible, but again tomorrow it is going to break. Then it comes to like helping them in getting the compliance certificate so that they can meet the legal compliance requirements. So end to
mm,
end, when it comes to the digital accessibility.
mm. How has the businesses, like, what has been
Mhm,
their take on it? Like, I'm sure, like, you know from my experience, like, I've seen that,
mhm,
when I say it's not accessible, for
mhm,
many it is like, how is it not accessible? That's the first question that comes in. And then we have
mhm,
to tell them about screen readers and how they interact with these platforms. So
mhm,
how are the businesses now? What's their take on it, Akash? Are they coming forward
mhm,
genuinely? And if you could throw some light on that.
mhm. Sure. So before, I would say before 2024, like till 2023, it was not very great. Even till June 2024, like businesses were not very receptive because the problem, and it's not like because they don't want to do it. The primary reason is there is a lot of data gap in the story. Okay.
Mm,
Like if you start, when I try to talk to them and explain these things, they understand, okay, 15%, okay, 10% is a global Indian population is a person with disability. Okay. Different stats says, some stat says 15%, some stat says 10%, or even census just say 2.21%.
mm,
Okay. Then, but that is a population of entire person with disability. Now, if I just try to dig it down and say what fraction of this is facing the digital inaccessibility, there is no stat around that. Okay, how many of them really know how to use the different kind of assistive tools and techniques? There is no clear stats around that. Okay, then what kind of tools and techniques they want to use? There is no clear stats around that. So when I'm trying to put my feet in their shoes and trying to think of it as a true business case, okay, there is no stats. Okay, there is no proper stats on the basis of which a business can take a business decision, where they can say, okay, yeah, at least my 1% of the user base is struggling. That's why I should be doing it. Okay. And then the question comes is, even if it's the 1% of my user base, then if I make the my app accessible, what kind of increase in my revenue is gonna be? It is like more and more users gonna be adding up, or is it like I'm gonna get more repeat orders? What kind of, like, there is no clear stats around it. So businesses can't take it as a proper business decision. That's a major problem. Okay. But now the businesses are taking because there's a legal action happening. In 2023, there was a legal notice issued to 155 organizations by the Chief Commissioner of Persons with Disability, and it includes all the big players in India. Okay, even the government department face the lawsuits. And recently, if I say again, I think July is a golden month for people working in the digital accessibility, because last year CCPD issued this notice, and this year SEBI issued a circular in which they mandated whoever is affiliated with SEBI, whoever is registered with SEBI, that entity has to make their digital asset accessible to persons with disability. It includes all the brokers, all the portfolio managers, all the RAs, all the AMCs, mutual fund, so which is more than 10,000 entities.
No, no, no.
Okay,
It's
so now
interesting.
all of, yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead, Akash.
No, so what I was saying, like now it's like now because of this legal compliance requirement, legal action, they have to do it. And even to your viewers, I would say is you have that choice that you can download the Sugamya Bharat app. This is an app by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. If you're facing any digital inaccessibility, report on that so that the ministry, the CCPD can take action against that, and you may see the apps getting improved.
Hmm. That's so cool, Akash. It's interesting that my next question was about these policies in place, and you
Hmm?
actually mentioned that how it works, in reality. Could you also share, Akash, like there are policies you mentioned about Sugimya Bharat app and things like that.
Hmm?
But are these policies enough? Like, are people aware? I know the recent 5 6 years, especially after COVID, digital accessibility का थोड़ा ध्यान में आया and things like that.
Hmm,
But
hmm.
do you think somebody working in this field, do you think this, it's enough या इससे भी ज़्यादा like कुछ और होना चाहिए?
Policies पे अभी काम हो रहा है, to be honest.
Okay.
If I tell you, like there are still areas where policies need to work on. Like
Hmm.
one thing which I can share is there is a case going on in the Supreme Court. You may have heard about Rajiv Ratori case in the
Yes.
Supreme Court.
Hmm.
So that what that case in that case, the Supreme Court has passed a ruling where they're saying like we need to formulate what is mandatory. Everyone has to, because before that, what was happening is accessibility was just an advisory. There was nothing
Hmm.
as a mandate. Okay.
Hmm.
So then Supreme Court came up, and first of all, they declared that digital accessibility is a fundamental right for person with disability. Okay. Then they also said that we need to formulate that what is should be mandatorily done and what can be optional for the corporate or anyone. Okay. So
Hmm.
now the policies are getting formulated around that. The CB has issued this as a circular, which is making it as a compliance requirement. Because earlier, the one thing which I was not happy was it was more complaint driven. When a
Hmm.
person with disability is complaining to CCPD, then CCPD is issuing a letter to the appropriate company, and then company is taking the action. Okay,
Hmm.
but that is not really sustainable thing, because
Hmm.
one time the company will get the green check, they will stop working on accessibility. But if you make it part of their annual compliance, if you make
Mm,
it part of they have to do an MCA, Ministry of Consumer, like they have to file, every corporate has to file in MCA, the annual compliances. So if it is a part of MCA compliances, that on annual basis, you have to provide your accessibility compliance certificate.
mm,
Okay. Then these things are gonna be more compliance driven, not a complaint.
mm.
Then actually things gonna be changed. And then the major like policy front that is required, and on the innovation side, we need to come up with the innovative innovation in this domain so that it is more like sustainable for businesses as well, and also like more cost effective for them.
Yeah, definitely makes sense, Akash. Thanks for sharing that. And we're just few minutes away from concluding
Yeah.
the thing. So now it's about you, Akash. Like, okay, we know
Mm.
you're, sorry if I call you a nerd, but yeah,
No.
but we want to know more about this nerd. So tell us about your hobbies, Akash.
My hobbies,
Of course. Other than the
most of my time,
digital world in quotation. So don't get digital world here.
most of my time just go on computer.
इसलिए that's why
Fine.
I said other than the digital world.
Okay. So apart from that, I love swimming, and that is a hobby which I have. Like whenever I
Okay,
get the swimming pool, if there is any sport, water sports, I'm always in for it.
lovely. And also, Akash, like if I was to ask you like to describe yourself in 3 words, what would
Mhm.
they be?
What would they be?
Yeah.
Okay. I think one is I'm passionate. Um, I I have, I think, patience. Like
Mm.
I'm persistent. So I think those are the few words which I can describe for myself.
Thank you for sharing that. And just last two, three more questions. And so, if there was something in this world that you could change,
Hmm.
um, like uh, I remember this is one of the interesting questions. I mean, I all our guests come up with interesting responses as well. What would it be if you could change something in this world?
In this chain, it's like I have the extreme superpowers that if I'm
Yeah,
trying to change that
anything
can
like
change.
yeah.
Okay. So I think the one thing which need to be changed is we everyone has to more be ethical. Okay. Like
Mm,
how we can build that world, because now what is happening is more and more world is getting unethical. Okay. Everyone is just trying to do the things just to meet their targets, or like just take an example like sales. Okay. They just try to
mm,
meet the target and they hide the main information, which they know even if they disclose that information, it is the consumer is not going to buy. Okay,
mm,
so more and the more world is moving towards unethical things. So that is, I think, if everything is ethical, okay, then things are gonna be like automatically be in the.
mm. Thanks, Akash. And here's our last question. Um,
Mhm.
what's that? What's something about you that
Mhm.
most people don't know?
Most people don't know.
Yeah.
I think as an entrepreneur, as a founder, there is nothing like that because being a
So
founder, you have to
basically,
be
you're
public.
saying you're a celebrity. I'm sorry, I'm
Not
just
celebrity.
kidding.
No, whoever knows me know about me. Like if you go online and try to search about me, you will get most of the information. That is what I mean. Celebrity, I think, will be more like that word. Like most of the people know me. No, I don't think. I think celebrity will be that person that most of the people know about that person. But I'm not
Mm,
saying that. My belief is that being a founder, everything is public. You have to make everything about you public.
correct,
That's
correct.
why that's only when the people will start trusting on you, especially in the present digital world, when even you get very less chance to even meet your client face to face.
Mm, mm,
Most of the time, you're just meeting them virtually. You're doing business with them. If I tell you, like most of my clients, I never met in person.
mm.
Okay, most of the time I'm just in meeting them in the digital world. I'm like making the digital world accessible, like not in the physical. So yeah,
Thanks, Akash. Thanks that for that wonderful conversation. And this is to all the listeners, like, since you now know like what Akash is working into, SaralX is working for. If you need to make your digital spaces accessible, you know who to reach out to. You can reach us out. We can connect you with Akash. And Akash, thank you so much for joining this call. And it has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining.
thank you, Aishwarya. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
And to the listeners, this is Inside Stock Show. We keep doing this. We keep inviting guests to share their journey, their stories. So if you like to be a part of this show, please do leave us your comments, and you can reach out to us. Our contact details also will be given in the comments. Thank you so much, and have a lovely, lovely, lovely weekend. Bye bye.